Goodreads, your reckoning has finally come. Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's Emma. How are you doing? This is going to be quite the serious reading vlog. We have a mission. It's a very serious mission. Cadets, are you ready? Are you suited, belted, buckled, brimming with anticipation? Okay, good. We are on a mission to track down, as dangerous and tiring and frustrating as it may be, the perfect spooky books. And this is not an easy task, and it is one many of us have perished to along the way, failing and falling like shooting stars. That's a little too dramatic. This is too dramatic. The bit's over, and the bit. It was over a long time ago. We are actually on the hunt to find the spookiest books. I think by the time I post this, there will be approximately like a week or something left until Halloween, so I really want to read some spooky books. Today that I've started vlogging this vlog, it is October 14th or something like that, and I've read some spooky books, but nowhere near the level of fright, horror. In last week's vlog, if you want to check it out, I read Nevernight, which, as amazing as it was, I was obsessed with it, was not necessarily the spookiest gothic Halloween book of my dreams. I tried to read this thing, The Maidens, and while it did promise psychological thriller, it broke all the promises. It called me up again just to break me like a promise. This one was a flop, but our saving grace this week is going to be finishing The Bloody Chamber and then tracking down everything ever like this. This is what I want to use as the springboard to reach my dreams. That's the mission, and we actually have a tool this week that is hopefully going to help us with this serious endeavor, because this video is sponsored by Literal, which is really exciting. This is a brand new app that tracks your reading. You can list all your books on it. You can of course add your friends. You can make lists of your book. You can organize your bookshelves. You can highlight like the quotes. The phone will scan the page for you, and then it will just plop the quote you want onto your profile, which was really cool. So I imported my shelf from Goodreads onto Literal, and it synced up all of my bookshelves really nicely. However, something I've never done on Goodreads and that I want to try doing on Literal is, first of all, creating one shelf for all of my unread TBR, like that I own, like my unread physical TBR, but then also from there I want to create a spooky challenge bookshelf for myself. I want to put all the spooky reads I either own, want to buy it soon, or have as an audiobook on that shelf, and then we're going to go through and tick them off this week. So I went on Literal and I started to create my spooky season bookshelf, and I added a couple of books that I'm currently reading. We finished The Maidens, thankfully, so I got to tick it off of that bookshelf. I guess we could count that as like our first one. And then I went through and added like The Bloody Chamber, Strange Practice, which is a book I'll talk about. All these I'll talk about when I start them this week. I added A Court of Mist and Fury and some other stuff that I'm looking forward to getting to. So I've only added a few things on the shelf so far, but the goal for right now, this is kind of the only book I'm in the middle of, so we're gonna have to pick our next read. And as well, Literal does like recommend you some stuff. You can go through lists, and for me, I will definitely be going through the spooky list. So my goal for right now is to go through this stack of books that I've created in my room, which is kind of like some spooky inspiration that I hesitantly put on my October TBR. And then I want to go through the whole rest of my bookshelves, my audiobooks, and I want to create like this dream list and then be able to pull from the list and like have everything in one place. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna share all my reading updates. We're gonna pick new books today. We're gonna go through my bookshelf, and I'm looking forward to like having a very spooky week, and also watching some very spooky movies because I'm in the middle of like 3 spooky movies right now. So that is the goal. All right, so I'm reading The Bloody Chamber, which we talked about, by Angela Carter, which is amazing. Highly recommend. I think it's perfect. Like, it's exactly what I'm looking for. I have some curtains to hang later today, which we'll probably do in the vlog too. Anyway, because I finished The Maidens, thankfully, that was the audiobook I had on the go. It's time for us to pick a new audiobook, and I currently have 3 holds in. The ones I have in right now are The Ghost Bride by Yang-Shi Chu. This is about a woman who marries a ghost. Yeah, so we're gonna see. This sounds really cool. We'll see if it's exactly my cup of tea. It's also like historical fiction, which I don't know if I'm in the mood for right now. The other one we have in is Strange Practice by Vivian Shaw. This is the one I'm like leaning the most towards because it sounds the most spooky, the most Halloween-y. I think this is about a girl, and she either like accidentally becomes a necromancer, or there are corpses raised from the dead and she has to kill them. Wait, kill a corpse? I think I just read in the synopsis something about like a secret mad scientist lab, and I was like, I'm in, we're there. And then I do have in A Court of Mist and Fury, which isn't really Halloween, although I am really in the mood to read A Court of Mist and Fury. And like, I guess it's like fae and like fantasy creatures and stuff like that, so it could count a little bit towards this. We're gonna pop it on the list anyway. So those are the 3 I have in, so we're gonna be choosing from those. But then I also have this little stack here that I pulled off my bookshelf of books I wanted to read in October. So I'm gonna add all 4 of these to the literal list as well. The first one is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This was a very wonderful gift from Mary at Mary Among Stories. Thank you so much. She gave me this for my birthday. I've heard about this for a couple of years now. It's a fairly recent release, but I'm very intrigued. I also put on Hurricane Season by Fernanda Melchor because I keep thinking about this book. And a lot of you guys have said in the comments that it is so disturbing, so violent, so gruesome. It really gets under your skin. It's actually quite frightening. Oh, I guess to make the goal clear, like that is the goal. I want to be so scared. I want to be frightened beyond belief this week. I want a piece of media to absolutely terrorize me. That's what we're going for. As well as The Monk by Matthew Lewis, which is one of the original Gothic novels. And then finally we have The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. And all of you guys have said that these 3 books would be absolutely terrifying. This one I do have an audiobook hold on. I don't know if it's gonna arrive in time, so we'll see. But these are definitely all gonna go on that list because I just want to have something to refer to as well for spooky reading, no matter the season. But these are the ones that I kind of have my eye on for this week to absolutely frighten me. So I think what I'm gonna do right now is start Strange Practice. I'm gonna listen to Strange Practice, do my chores, and then I will get back to you on the first few updates. It is also still like far too warm for my liking. It's been really hot this week and last week, which is, you know, concerning. It has yet to cool down properly at all here for any kind of spookiness or, you know, spooky feeling. So I'm really hoping this week will give that to us because I really want some cold weather. Like I really want some cold, cool weather. I'm also gonna try to do my own like spooky nails because I recently took my gel nails off, so I'm gonna try to do like a spooky Halloween nail look, I guess. And I also would like to do some spooky baking this week. So this week we just have it all planned, although like I do have a test tomorrow at school. I'm not too worried about that, but and then it's the weekend because I'm starting this vlog off on a Thursday. So So it's now almost 7 o'clock and I'm just about to make dinner, but on the topic of spooky Halloween things, I did get some more Halloween decorations because I cannot be stopped. So I picked up this cute little cup, mug thing. Might hold a plant, might hold my coffee, might hold my sanity or try to, I don't know. And it says Witch's Brew. And it's cute. So I'm gonna wash this and then honestly I might drink my coffee out of it. This thing is so cool. I got a hand. Yes, I got a hand, but it's actually a candle holder. So you just put a little candle on the top and then he like sits on the table. I love it. I'm obsessed. And then these two are from Bath & Body Works because I just got the obligatory soap and hand sanitizer. This one is the Marshmallow Pumpkin Latte, and then this one is the Sweet Cinnamon Pumpkin hand sanitizer. So oh, I'm excited. But yeah, that's my little mini Halloween haul. So I'm gonna make some marinated tofu for dinner, which is really good, and then put it in naan with tomatoes, cucumber, and I'm gonna make like a ranch dressing with probably some vegan mayonnaise, olive oil and spices, which will be really good. So, and then I'm gonna sit down and read The Bloody Chamber, or not The Bloody Chamber, but that collection. I'm so glad I put my wind chimes like right next to the door, and it's been a really windy couple of days, and so I just hear like nice wooden wind. Do you hear that? Okay, so today is Saturday and it's finally cooling down, and I got to wear a big sweater today, which I'm very, very happy about. I just sat down and had some coffee and a vegan pumpkin loaf that my grandma made. My grandma's been getting into vegan baking, which I am all for and very excited about because it means I finally get to eat her delicious baking, and it was delicious. It's like a pumpkin loaf with nuts and cinnamon, I think, and it was good. It was a little too good, Grandma. I know you're watching this. It was too good. You're gonna make me eat the whole loaf in one sitting. Anyway, I have some very good reading updates. So I'm just not, I just can't. There's just, Angela. This is so good. It's so good. I'm actually almost done, which breaks my heart. I'm on one of the last stories, which is called The Werewolf, and I'm about 138 pages through, so I really only have like 20 pages left. I could not put this down last night. Like, I got to a few stories and I was just like, wow. And there is one in particular that I just wanted to read you, like just passages from, so you kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. One of my definite favorite stories from this, aside from The Bloody Chamber, like I think The Bloody Chamber is just gonna be like top of all time. But then we got to one called The Earl King, and I wasn't really expecting much from it. I wasn't sure what the fairy tale was, but oh my gosh. Like the description of the woods in The Earl King and like October, fall, forest is just like, I would literally die for this language. Like this just, it like does something. Like I feel like I feed on it. Like it's just delicious. It is so good. It's so tantalizing and so like, it's just amazing. It's like language that can make you do anything. So we're talking about the woods and stuff in the sky and the rain struck the wood with nicotine-stained fingers. The leaves glittered. A cold day of late October, when the withered blackberries dangled like their own dour spooks on the discolored brambles. There were crisp husks of beech mast and cast acorn cups underfoot in the russet slime of dead bracken, where the rains of the equinox had so soaked the earth that the cold oozed up through the soles of the shoes. Lancinating cold of the approach of winter that grips hold of your belly and squeezes it tight. Now the stark elders have an anorexic look. There is not much in the autumn wood to make you smile, but it is not yet, not quite yet, the saddest time of the year. Only there is a haunting sense of the imminent cessation of being. The year, in turning, turns in on itself. Introspective weather, a sick room hush. Doesn't that give you like chills? Like I think when you read something like that, you can't get out of it. You can't go back and read something else whose language just doesn't even like scratch the surface of what Angela Carter is doing in here. Like that was gorgeous. Just like the way she describes things, you just feel it. Like you feel it all. So talented. She's just so talented. So The Earl King is about a girl who goes into the woods and she kind of gets lost. There's like this myth about the Earl King who's like some guy. He might be a tree, he might be a tree monster. We're not really sure. But she gets kind of stuck in his world where he takes birds from the woods, puts them in cages and hangs them in his like cottage in his little room to hear them sing and stuff like that. He knows which of the frilled, blotched, rotted fungi are fit to eat. He understands their eldritch ways, how they spring up overnight in lightless places and thrive on dead things. Even the homely wood bluets that you cook like tripe with milk and onions, and the egg yolk yellow chanterelle with its fan vaulting and faint scent of apricots, all spring up overnight like bubbles of earth, unsustained by nature, existing in a void. And I could believe that it has been the same with him. He came alive from the desire of the woods. Angela! Angela, how is your world formed that you got to write like this? Holy moly. So anyway, this is like the best thing I've ever read. And that's that on that. So I did finish The Lady of the House of Love last night. This is one that I couldn't put down. This is about vampires. I think it's also like a retelling of Sleeping Beauty, but the woman we're following is a vampire, and it is just also so haunting, so good. Her voice is filled with distant sonorities like reverberations in a cave. Now you are at the place of annihilation. Now you are at the place of annihilation. And she is herself a cave full of echoes. She is a system of repetition. She is a closed circuit. I think I would die for this book. Like I would sell my soul to this book. Angela, if you're listening, I would sell my soul to the Bloody Chamber. Regardless, I'm absolutely loving this. I'm going to stop rambling on about this, but this is giving me everything in a Halloween spooky October read that I want. That is the Bloody Chamber. And then for my updates on the other two audiobooks that I was talking about, I started The Ghost Bride by Yang-Shi Chu, and I decided to put it down just because it wasn't giving me what I wanted. I got a couple hours into that, but it just wasn't like the spookiness that I wanted. So I am about 15% through Strange Practice by Vivian Shaw. So essentially, now that I have a better idea of what it's about, we follow Greta Helsing, and she is a doctor for the supernatural underworld of London. So she caters her doctorly ways to vampires, witches, werewolves, ghouls, ghosts, everything that you can imagine. This book is also a murder mystery because the book opens with a vampire being attacked in a way that, I don't know if it turns him human, that's like my guess right now, but there's also murders going on in the human world by people dressed as like monks or stuff like that. It's kind of a religious thing. And I think these two worlds are about to intertwine. It's definitely a bit just like more like campy and fun rather than like the serious, like blood curdling spookiness that I'm looking for. So we'll see if I actually continue with this or not, because I do have some other books lined up, and I do need to add a bunch more to my literal shelves today because I want it to be more organized. So I think we're gonna give Strange Practice a little bit more time to see if I'm into it, but I did also start A Court of Mist and Fury last night because, like I said, I was in the mood for it, and it'll be a nice balance, I think, once I do find like a very spooky, scary, unsettling book, just to have something fun. First of all, I gotta say, I don't really know what I'm getting myself into. I didn't really love A Court of Mist and Fury, but everyone says to keep going, and like this one's already a lot better, and I'm only on chapter 2. But what I do have to say is that these are the laziest maps I've ever seen. The absolute laziest creation of topography I've ever seen in my life. Like, what is that? What is that? It's just a blob. You just have random mountains. And then the courts are literally just like cookie cutter divided. I feel like no thought went into this. It was just like boom, boom, boom. So very disappointing map, but that's just my map rant. Anyway, yeah, like I said, I'm really only 12 pages through. If you've never heard of this series, I feel like I'm the last person to read it, but it's about a mortal girl, Feyre, who kills is it a deer or a wolf? I think it's a wolf. And then she gets taken into the fairy world of the spring court, where there's like a curse on the court, and you can imagine that there's, you know, romance and stuff like that. Like I said, I really have vague memories of A Court of Thorns and Roses, but this one I am very much looking forward to, honestly. So, but I'm about to finish this. Like, I'm just about to sit down and finish this right now, and then we will pick another very spooky, unsettling book. But I don't think anything will be able to reach that level, so. Also, when I was at the store the other day, I saw a very cozy blanket in like one of my favorite colors. It's way more dark green in person, but I had to pick it up because it's so soft, and I've been like decorating in here with all pretty much black and dark green. I also did get curtains, like black velvet curtains, which I've been loving so much, but oh my gosh, I just want to be wrapped up in this, reading spooky books all day. Okay, so I made it to the last story in the Bloody Chamber. It's so bittersweet. It's The Company of Wolves. And I've been talking a lot in different vlogs and like honestly for a year now about trying to find really good Little Red Riding Hood retellings and reimaginings because that's one of my favorite fairy tales. And so many people, when I picked up the Bloody Chamber, they were like, oh my gosh, you have to read The Company of Wolves, like you're gonna love it. So I'm really excited, and I think it's gonna be a really good way to finish off this story. So I'm just gonna finish this up and then we will be done. Our first very spooky book. Ugh. The wolves are as gray as famine, as unkind as plague. Oh my god. Alright, so I've not yet finished the Bloody Chamber. I'm actually gonna go on an impromptu walk or hike or fall thing with my friends right now because they just called me. So I'm gonna get ready, put on some shoes, and literally head out the door. So, and then I'll be back and actually finish it. Okay, so I'm back from my walk now. I am freezing. I'm so cold. We actually saw not one, not two, but 3 weddings in the park today because it's just a perfect October day. It's really cold though, but it was so nice. Someone had like pumpkins down their aisle, like down their wedding aisle. It was just lined with so many pumpkins, and like the bridesmaids were carrying like very Halloween-y looking flowers. So I just got back. As you see, I'm in bed with my new blankie, my own little pumpkin, and I actually just finished the Bloody Chamber, which was a really great way to spend my Saturday because it's almost like 4:30 now. But this was amazing. This was wonderful. 5 stars, no doubt about it. I just checked it off on Literal, and they have half-star options is what I wanted to scream about. When I saw that, I freaked out because that's what I've been wanting to do for so long, is give like, you know, half a star, because sometimes it's not the full like 4 or 5 stars or whatever. So that was cool. But for this vlog, that is officially the first one checked off the list. So I think now what I'm gonna do is proof my video for tomorrow, and then I want to pick a new book because this was amazing and made me want to read so much. So I might post a poll on Instagram to get you guys to vote, and I'm gonna go through my little stack of inspo on my bedroom floor and pick a new one. Alright, hey, so it is shaping up to be another very spooky, rainy, windy day. Like the clouds are coming in and it's getting dark. Anyway, I do have some reading updates and still on the hunt for a very spooky book. I think I might have found my next one. It was kind of on my literal list already, but literal also has like lists of its own, right? So dark books, spooky books, whatever. So I'm also gonna browse through there and through my bookshelves just to like make sure. I don't know, I get so picky picking up my next book because I'm like, I want it to be amazing, like especially after reading The Bloody Chamber. But anyway, I'm still reading Thus For Their Faces by Silvina Ocampo. I'm 84 pages through. I have to say I'm really not into this yet. Like I'm on the second short story and like they are vaguely spooky and creepy and there's a lot of like twists and strange fantastical things happening, but it's definitely not, like it's just not speaking to me yet. It's not giving me kind of what I was hoping to get out of this, but like I said, I'm only on the second short story, so we shall see. Like the cover is just absolutely frightening, but I hope this gets much spookier. So I did decide to actually, yes, pick this up and fully commit to it now. I am 34 pages through. I'm really liking it. I hate Tamlin. I hate Tamlin so much. I want to punch Tamlin in the face. Feyre is a mortal girl who, like I said, gets into the fairy world. So now in this book, she's still in the Spring Court with Tamlin, who is like the High Lord of the Spring Court. He's Fae, but there's still trouble brewing, and she also made a deal with another Fae who's the King of the Night Court. I am very new to the whole Sarah J Maas world, so forgive me, but I know you guys probably have a lot of thoughts on her book, so I'm excited to see what you think and talk to people about it, because for years I've been hearing nothing but hype about Sarah J Maas, and I didn't like A Court of Thorns and Roses, like I said, but I am so willing to give the second book a chance because I actually bought this during the pandemic. I think this was the first book I bought during the pandemic and I never picked it up. So anyway, the spookiness I am anticipating, I think, would be The Monk, like I said, but right now I'm gonna go through the list on literal and just see, and then we're gonna scour through my bookshelves too. Okay, so this is part of my spooky shelf and then dark academia, but I did already read this and this did not go well, so I don't want to pick up anymore. But I'm kind of not craving classic gothic just because of like having to read so many classic works for school. This one I found thrifted many years ago and it sounds absolutely horrifying. It's about, I think it's about Dracula. I really want to read Interview with the Vampire, and then on a lighter note, I do really want to read The Ex-Hex as well. So I don't know, like I do have The Monk right here, so I think what I'm gonna do is start this and just see like how it goes, because I've been wanting to read this for years, so I think I should just give it a shot. Okay, hi. So I have some updates and I think I definitely found my next spooky book. It is one that I originally put on the spooky list on the app, so that is great. It's working perfectly because I started The Monk last night, which is the book that I did say I was kind of most looking forward to starting from the stack. And I got 30 pages through and I am so happy I picked this one. Like, this is gonna be absolutely so disturbing, so unsettling. I was reading the introduction even yesterday and I was like, okay, I picked the right one because it also just sounded so interesting. Like, it's so windy. It's another very windy, cold day. How much the French Revolution and the violence specifically that occurred during the French Revolution under like the guise of justice and retribution and towards the movement like inspired The Monk and what goes on in here. So like I said, I'm 30 pages through pretty much, but the story starts when an aunt and her niece come to Madrid and they go to church and they see that the church is just absolutely packed. Like, people are lined up out the door and they're like, what is going on? Why is it so crowded? Why is it so stuffy? And then they start talking to two men who are staying at the church, who are going to church. And they're like, haven't you heard? Like, we have the monk, Ambrosio, who everyone loves. He's like the most righteous man. Everyone has to have him as their confessor. He's just like the most pious, wonderful, God-like man you will ever hear from. And so they listen to his sermon and they're like, you know what? You're right. And the niece, Antonia, who's like 15 or something, she literally falls in love with him from hearing him preach, like his sermon. And that's kind of the part where I am at, but it just already promises to be so disturbing. There's already so many like weird plots and strange things happening in this like monastery in Madrid that really should not be happening. And it's just a little dark and creepy. Like, it just started and it's already so good. So this is definitely going to be one that I keep reading. I'm very happy to have found it. I also was listening a lot more to A Court of Mist and Fury last night before bed. I don't love the audiobook version of this, at least the one I have on Libby, but I did get 80 pages through. So Feyre is now completely with Rhysand. I'm gonna try not to make my thoughts about this book too spoilery, but as well, I know so many people have read it and like there's so many spoilers on the internet. Like, I've been spoiled everywhere. So I'm still really liking this, honestly. Like, it's pretty good. Something I don't like that happens a lot in fantasy books is when like people have to train their minds to like, you know, build a mental shield or something. Like in Harry Potter, when like Harry trains with Snape against Voldemort's mind control thing. In this one, Feyre has to train with Rhysand to like put up mental blocks so that people can't like get into her mind. I just really don't like those sections or those training montages of that, because to me it's just so abstract and they always use just like such meaningless language to me. They're always like, oh, you know, someone's clawing into my mind. There's like a hand going through my mind and I have to like create a wave of myself to wash it away. I'm like, this is really, it just seems really meaningless to me and I don't really get anything out of that because I'm like, really have no idea what you're talking about, especially when you use such abstract language to describe what is happening. It just seems like a really weak thing in every single fantasy or sci-fi series I've had where people have to like build up their mental wall or their mental shields against attacks on your mind. It just never, I just never buy it. So anyway, but I am liking this. So those are those two. And then I'm still listening to The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which is another really good pick. I'm loving it so much. I just still want to do my nails, I think, when I get back from class in a spooky color, spooky design. So we shall see. And then I'll be reading more of this today. So very happy. Alright, good morning. So today is gonna be the last day of this vlog, but I am so happy that I made such a spooky bookshelf because I'm just gonna spend like the rest of the month and probably into November as well, because November is still spooky to me. And honestly, December is a pretty good time for ghost stories too, but yeah, I'm just gonna keep ticking books off of that list I created. I would love to do more of these like challenge reading vlogs or like themed reading vlogs in the future. But my final reading updates, I am loving The Monk. I got 36 pages through it and I can just, like, it's really fast-paced, honestly. It's very accessible, even though this was published in 1796. Like, I feel like I'm just flying through it. Like, the language is so easy to read. It's very communicable and it's just so like, it's just so creepy and it makes you want to read and like know what's happening, and people are not who they seem, and I'm just loving it. This book is gonna get so intensely dark, so spooky, like I can already feel it. And just like going from reading The Bloody Chamber, which was Angela Carter's like revitalization of fairy tale through the Gothic, and then to read a Gothic, very old book is just phenomenal. In A Court of Mist and Fury, I am 110 pages through now. Can I just say, Feyre is so stupid. Like, she is really, like, I feel for her. She's going through so much right now. Like, she's really been scarred by the events in book 1, and she is showing so many symptoms of PTSD, and it's just honestly like really hitting home, and it's a little hard to read about. But as well, she is just dumb. And I feel like her life is just kind of being told what to do by various fairies. I am really liking this. I'm definitely going to be continuing this. I have quite a long ways to go. I'm only like 1/6 of the way in, so that is that one. I'm really liking it. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. I really don't know what to make of this one. I don't know where it's going. I'm trying to solve it by myself. I'm really liking it. I'm a little over halfway through now. Absolutely loving it. Agatha Christie is always good for spooky season, so nothing but good things to say here, really. And I'm actually in the middle of 7 books right now, but a lot of them are for uni, which I'll be talking about in my uni vlogs. And this was a very good week. It's another very cold day. I'm just about to head out the door for class. And I am gonna paint my nails when I get home tonight. I'm gonna do it tonight. I keep running out of time, but yeah, I'm excited. Today I'm going to the library. So thank you so much, Literal, for sponsoring this week. This was amazing. I love using new reading apps to do like some challenges on, and I'd love to do some more. So if you guys are interested in them, I will leave a link to the app in the description box. It's completely free to download, and yeah, until then, I will go add like 1,000 more books to my spooky list and see what happens. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are keeping well. If you have any recommendations for me or anyone in the comments, please, as usual, leave them. Okay, ciao.